I would like to call Mr. Tabassam Raza from the Philippine School of Business Administration and Quezon City Government. Sustainable development challenges due to extreme weather impact. I'll be talking about innovating a science and policy framework for sustainable and disaster resilient Quezon City, Philippines. Mr. Tabassam, floor is yours.
Thank you. Bonjour, Madame, Monsieur. Good morning, and thank you very much for the Switzerland government to host this event. And I would also like to extend my thanks to UNISDR for arranging this event and inviting us for this platform. My name is Tabassam Raza. I am the director of the Disaster Risk Management Unit, Philippine School of Business Administration. And at the same time, I am a technical advisor of Quezon City Government Disaster Risk Management Office. I would like to request among you how many people are working with the grassroots level or communities or municipalities or cities. May I request to raise your hand? Let me have a selfie with you first. Because, okay, please join me. Those who are not working with the city government or community, they can also raise their hands because later or sooner you are going to work with them. Thank you. First of all, I would like to say that Patrick Geddy, you know the person because he said, think globally, act locally. An approach that allow people to consider the health of the entire planet for taking action to resolve the problems which we encounter due to the extreme weathers or unseen events. My presentation is regarding climate-related disaster. I think so the presentation is, the title is different. Development something, start with. No. That is not the presentation. Oh, technical problem, I think so. This is the old presentation which I submitted. I think so. This morning I have given you, please check it out. So I'll continue. It is regarding the sustainable development challenges due to extreme weathers. So it is about innovating a framework, science and policy framework to work at the grassroots level. So in this matter, the question arises there, we are talking about the action, taking action. So the question is, and the argument is there people available who can come up with the action plan? Do they have the capacity? Let's say our local government or municipalities, do they have the capacity to come up with the action plans? And number two, why we have to create those action plans? There should be some mandates. If we look into the Philippine government's Republic Act 9729, Climate Change Act, that asks the local government to come up with their own local climate change action plan. So, but climate change and extreme weather relationship is very scientific. We need to come up with some scientific, we need to have scientific knowledge so that we can assess our threat and then we can see what are the elements at risk to that threat, and we can also see our capacity to withstand with those threats. We need to assess all these factors in the equation. And I would like to congratulate to Rajab Shah and his team for creating a very beautiful initiative, RICA, because this kind of academies can help you to translate the scientific knowledge into laymanized terms. It means they are acting as a broker to bring the message from scientific people to the decision maker who are usually not scientists. Let's say the city mayor, he is not a scientist. Maybe sometime, exceptional case, he can be scientist. He can understand the return period of flood or return period of earthquake, but in laymanized way, he don't know what is 100-year flood or 50-year flood. So when you say 100-year flood, it means it's extreme weather event which has impact on a larger scale. Therefore, we need to think about it ahead of time. So I'm just waiting my presentation. Anyhow, I'll bring you to the... So, okay. We are done with this one. This was the Climate Change Act 2009, Republic Act 9729, which mandate each municipality and cities in the Philippines to come up with their own action plan. The objective of this research is to develop a science policy framework and partially operationalize the SPF components by applying it to develop Quezon City Development sectoral-based local climate change action plan. So we have developed that action plan, and the methodology we use for that action plan is basically this framework. If you see the framework, it shows many activities, but to translate these activities to the participant, because the process to operationalize this framework is participatory process, which has a gender sensitivity element, because the indicators which we use, they act differently for different genders. If I see the climate change indicator for water sufficiency, it explains that the male has different needs for water as compared to females. So in decision making and scientific assessment, we need to have equal parts of these two genders when it comes to assessment. So we make sure that our participatory process is gender sensitive. Component number 1, component number 2, and component number 3, they are those components which are to be done with the participation of all the stakeholders. If you see both sides of the framework, there is a vertical line and it shows stakeholder engagement and political will. Basically, these plans are made by the local government and under the supervision of the mayor. If the mayor do not have the political will, we cannot go for these kind of plans. To implement these plans, we need to have the political will of the mayor also. Now let's see, in this today's presentation, I will be more on discussing this particular subcomponent, which is under climate change vulnerability or sensitivity analysis. And under the sub component, we have 4 activities. The other 2 activities are part of the action plan, but due to the constraint of time, today I cannot discuss with 2, but you can always send me the email. I can send you the whole plan. So for this purpose, there are incidents or extreme events which are climate driven. They can be temperature rise or rise in the sea level, and then we need to assess their impact on the communities or elements at risk. So I will be focusing on this one, and then what is coming, what is our output, that is sectoral-based Quezon City Development Plan. If time permits, I will show you the slides regarding the methodology. Otherwise, I will go directly to the results. Now, why we choose the Quezon City? So there are certain criteria here. Based on these criteria, we have choose Quezon City out of 9 cities by using the logical decision window software. So this Quezon City stood at number 1. And that is the location of the Quezon City, which is almost here in the main map of the Philippines. Findings. So as you know that the science knowledge is very important. So we use GIS applications to come up with the maps that shows us which barangay is the smallest unit of a city. So there are 142 barangays in Quezon City. So it shows us which barangay is at higher risk in terms of casualties. So here, this Bago Silang, which has 9 to 16 people death expected if this kind of event, which is 100-year flood, happen. So is the next one is the people affected. In that case, this is the area of St. Peter, which will be highly affected when it comes to population affected by flooding. So as the critical facilities, so these are the scientific numbers which we can get. And then we can also check the institutional capacity with the 7 indicators. These 7 indicators are also the same indicator which constitute the national climate change framework. So it is a bottom-up approach where we try to align all the indicators at local level to the national level. And if you see, there are some results that extreme weather, change in precipitation pattern and rising mean level temperature, what is their impact on different indicators. Then this one is the Quezon City Barangay's institutional relative vulnerability. So by threat and the capacity, threat of climate change event divided by the capacity of the institution and the personnel, we can see the relative vulnerability and what are the areas which need a proper investment or proper mitigation or adaptive measures. So these are the 7 pillars. These are the incidents. These are the goals and objectives which are aligned or cross-cutting with the SDGs and the same time with the Paris Agreement objectives. So national climate change objectives, core cutting development sector, because these plans are based on development sectors. So we have 5 development sectors: social, economic, environmental, land use, and institutional. Thus, this kind of plan is prepared, and it has an action plan at the end, which is categorized by immediate, medium-term, and long-term action plan, or project, programs, or activities. And if you see, this is social development sector, this is the food security, and these are the impacts. And these are the main impact can be on the availability of water, stability of water, or affordability of water, or accessibility of water under the social development. Same way under the social development factor, water sufficiency. A while ago it was food security. So we can go all those framework along 145 PPAs, program, projects, and activities. Thus, these are the conclusions. You can borrow this presentation and read this conclusion. There are some recommendations which are given there. So there is a need to integrate these development sectoral-based PPAs into Quezon City disaster risk reduction management plan. So we have disaster risk management plan, which is also mandatory. So when we integrate these 2 plans, they become integrated action plan. These integrated action plans mainstream into development plans, which are called comprehensive development plan. Thank you. Somebody has to read it. Oh, thank you very much for your help. And these are the methodology. That's how we have to check the threat. Then after threat, adaptive capacity. And this is the relative vulnerability was calculated. And thank you very much.